morning. Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right. I am Don Palacio.
I'm Marleni Cuellar.
I'm Jamie Rock.
And I'm William Neal.
And we want to say welcome to the Open Your Eyes anniversary special. Woo!
All right. Hey.
8 years.
It's 8 years, and after 8 years, everybody is so used to it. It's like the daily party of life. Open your eyes and start your morning right.
Yes, of course. And I reflected on what 8 years meant, and the best thing I could come up with was 8 years of lack of sleep.
8 years of lack of sleep.
No, early morning.
Early morning, which means lack of sleep.
Early to bed.
All right, we're going to get into all of that, but we're going to go ahead and check in on our weather for today, right?
So we press this one. We have to, yes.
All right, good morning, Francisca.
Good morning. Somebody's bright this morning.
Yes, we are celebrating today, and we haven't even had the champagne yet. It's 8 years of Open Your Eyes today.
Okay, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
So how's your morning, Francisca?
My morning is bright also.
Man, you're inland. I'm sure you're feeling the chill. I'm sure you're feeling it.
Yes, and extra chill because I have a big AC in my office.
Really?
So you have 24/7 cold front.
Yes.
All right, Francisca, tell us about what we can expect for today.
Okay, we'll be seeing variably cloudy skies today, mild conditions, a few showers or periods of light rain will occur mostly over the sea and along some southern coastal areas. Presently, Dangriga getting some light rain.
Wow. Okay.
Winds will be from the north-northeast, 10 to 20 knots, and producing moderate seas.
Okay.
And quickly in the advisories?
No advisories
At this time.
All right.
at this time.
So this cool weather, what does that mean for our temperatures?
Okay, up in the Maya Mountains, only 75 Fahrenheit. Along the coast, 84. Inland, 88. Tonight, 61 up in the Maya Mountains, 68 inland, 72 along the coast.
And the tides?
Tides, we're having a low tide as we speak. We'll have another one at 5:35 this evening. The high tides come up at 12:31 this afternoon and 11:53 tonight.
All right, let's talk about the extended forecast. Of course, it's the November 19th weekend. People will be outdoors all night into the early morning. What can we expect?
Friday and Friday night, I am making it mainly fair, mild, and mostly dry because I want to be out there Friday night.
All right, you already did all your stretches for your punta?
Yes, I am the star.
You are punta ready.
Yes, she is.
You know what? We're gonna have to bring you here tomorrow for the Garifuna special then.
Oh, definitely.
All right, Francisca.
Thank you. We want to thank you so very much. And then again, over the years that you've been with us, and of course the National Meteorological Service, you guys have been excellent in terms of providing us with the weather provided in the country. And then again, we're number one, and so therefore everybody knows exactly what's going on with the weather. Francisca, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome and have a great day.
All right.
Man.
Okay, bye-bye.
Wow, over the past few days, have you guys seen the moon?
Yes.
Yeah, the super moon.
It's been
Yes, there was a
super moon.
and that was so romantic. Seriously romantic.
So you get chills when you think about romance?
It's a good chill. Like,
Well, I don't get to enjoy the super moon. The moon rises when I'm going, like, while I'm getting ready for work and while I'm on my way to work. So
man.
there's no joy to the super moon for me.
And it's kind of sad because what you see and what your phone sees is completely different. And the only kind of part I don't like.
Yeah, I had that
Don't worry.
conversation with someone here about being able to get the perfect moon shot with your phone.
Yeah.
Right.
Apparently there are lots of tricks that you're supposed to do.
Okay.
I still can't
Like
master
have
it.
a super telescope phone. Apple should get on
Very stable hands
Yeah.
as well, right? But we got to get moving into our eye opener for today, and I have to tell you, today we're going to shift things up a bit. It's our
Okay.
anniversary special. We're being more festive. Everybody's here on set, and so we're actually going to share some personal inspirational quotes based on just what we believe in, what we like, and so we're going to get into that now. So Jamie, you want to start us off?
Sure. My quote actually is not a quote, it's a Bible verse. It comes from Jeremiah 29:11, and the New International Version says, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans not to harm you, but to prosper you, to give you a future and a hope. And it's a verse that I especially love because while you are going through life, things happen. Shift happens, as I heard at a conference.
Shift?
Shift
Oh,
happens.
okay, I'm just making sure.
Shift happens. And the unpredictability of life can sometimes be so daunting. But to know that you have the man upstairs looking after you, taking care of you as you go through this very unpredictable life, plans not to harm you but to prosper you. I mean, that's the greatest kind of knowledge to have. And so that's my inspirational,
Quote for today. Nice. Okay, so John.
All right. I am a lover of music. I really, truly love music. One of my favorite artists, of course, is Bob Marley. And one of the things I like to do, of course, as well, is to read. And I was reading a few of his, and I stumbled upon this one. There are so many that I go through. There's so many that I go through because to me, like every day is not every day is a brand new day. It's not the same. So I live my life according to the quote I take for the day. And when I got asked for a quote, I just found this one. To me, it touched, especially with the lifestyle we live and the country we live in, which is the greatness of a man is not in how much wealth he acquires, but in his integrity and his ability to affect those around him positively. Now, you know what that struck me of? The person it comes to mind is Dara. Dara. And reason why Dara is because, look, we live in a Belize whereby things could go here, things could go there. And Dara he's not a wealthy man, but he has integrity. He has what, that leadership quality whereby he wants for folks to, especially young children, he wants for them to prosper. He wants to feed. And whenever you're hungry, it's a bad place to be. And Dara senses that. So he touches life. He touches life positively. And this is why I chose that quote.
Okay, nice. All right, so I went with something that I think pretty much if anybody watches the show very often, they've heard me say many times before, and I genuinely believe it and have said it so many times to people. And it's very simple. If you can't find the silver lining, then look for the silver thread. And I think I've said this so many times in the very eye-opener that we talk about, because we have to be real. People go through really difficult circumstances. We all, not just people, we all go through different challenges in our lives, and sometimes it just seems like the hurdle or the mountain is insurmountable. And we struggle, and everybody says, keep positive, and I do agree with that, but sometimes it's hard to find. What I think is important when I talk about just looking for the silver thread is that there is always at least an opportunity to learn if that is the silver thread that you find in it. And it may not happen in the moment itself of your struggle. It oftentimes happens in hindsight. But I think we can be able to find the positive, the one positive sometimes, even if it means that in the middle of all the struggle you say to yourself, I have the strength to get through it, or I have had more strength than I thought I could to be able to get through it. And I think for me, I genuinely believe that, and I keep saying it on the show, so I thought 8 years later, let me just say it as my personal quote.
Excellent.
Right?
All right, my personal quote is actually something that I encountered from Marlyn Vansen's Acts of Faith years ago, and it's actually printed on my birthday, and it says, things don't just happen, they happen just. And that really struck a chord with me. I didn't bother to go and look at the author. She usually credits the person, and it's Dr. Johnny Coleman. Female, who is a Christian and considered a New Age kind of Christian. I didn't do that until recently to actually find out who she was and why she said that, because it is natural that when something happens that we don't quite welcome, that immediately we ask, why me? And then within the discussion that Ayanla put together, it's why not you? Because you're prepared. Would you want it to happen to somebody else? And you start thinking from woe is me to actually looking at what this could possibly teach you. And it's a mantra that I maintain simply because things will happen, they will shift, and when it does, it's so easy to remember that things don't just happen, they happen just. And they happen because you can handle it at that particular point, or you're so ready to move on to what's next. And it's a great reminder of that premise that we have to embrace life even when it shifts, even when we're not welcoming at that point. So
And
that's my
your
personal
silver thread in the moment.
All quotes, very touching,
Yeah.
very touching. I really, and I know a lot of people could especially reflect on what William just mentioned, that why not you? It happened to you because, it's actually best for it to have happened to you rather than to happen to somebody else, because you're prepared,
And it's part of your life
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. And
Life-
all the life experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly, help to shape us into who we are today. So, I think we're grateful for challenges. Here's what I find interesting, just to move the conversation a bit. Since we started this show, I think one of the things I've gotten the most questions or comments about has been the eye opener. It's amazing. I meet people in the most random places, and they say to me, I put that TV on until I hear that eye opener. I need that eye opener to get started. And it makes you realize that we're all looking for a little extra motivation for a day. We're all looking for an extra push. And I mean, sometimes we read them and they're like, I don't know, that's kind of really out there, but it connects with someone.
Yeah, definitely. And it doesn't have to be the entire thing. I mean, sometimes there's just one word or a single statement within the eye opener that I hold throughout the entire day.
Yeah.
And I think that's what life is about, grasping the opportunity in small moments, in big moments, in any kind of moment.
And I think just starting off your day with a positive thought is something that is so important, because you tend to jump out of bed and get into life without reflecting. You have people who have the discipline of getting up and praying or doing meditation, but not everyone has that kind of discipline, or it's something that they've cultured within themselves. So I think just hearing something on a daily basis and you're able to think about life in a different way and just stop for a moment makes you enter your day in a different way. You can't get back into bed and order the day that you want. It's not that kind of a life. But you can think about it differently, and that's the important thing.
Reflecting back on what William's quote was, I actually threw something in my mind, because why not you? Then Hakuna Matata. Means
That
no
should have
worries.
been your quote. You said you love it and you use it all the time.
I use it a lot, and
Can I tell you though? Do you now have to explain it to younger generations? Because we watch Lion King, but I don't know if the younger ones know it anymore.
If I have children, they are watching. They have no choice. They are watching it.
No, it is true. And, I think the challenge is being able to discuss it afterwards. And I always try to make mention that, just because we comment on it doesn't mean we get it right.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes we read them and there's a sigh afterwards. Like, ouch. Stepped on my toes there for a second on things that I have to do. So it is really helpful. And so I'm glad we got to share our own personal ones this morning.
Wonderful.
All right,
So why an orange bowl in the front? What, I noticed you just sneak it up. It was a sneak up.
Yes, because our producer has decided that since we get to ask the questions all the time, it's time that we answer some questions, right? And it is our anniversary, so we are going to go ahead and find out what's in the fishbowl of questions. I have no idea. I'm a little bit nervous, so somebody else go first.
All right, I'll go first. And if you notice, I'm not copying, right? So I open and I read. So we just throw this question out, or I answer the question. Okay, so here we go, Jimmy. Was there ever a time when you were nervous in front of the camera?
Actually, I had never thought about this until just now. The first time, because I sing and I play guitar and blah blah, and the first time I was ever in front of a camera, I had went to Barbados for the first time for school, and they had asked me to perform at some concert that they were having, a fundraising, I think, for students. and that was the first time I was ever in front of the camera, and I was so nervous that I forgot every word after the first line of the song. And so I just said to them, well, and it was a really popular song. It was Bob Marley's Redemption song. So I just said, how do you forget redemption, the words to Redemption song?
Yeah.
So I just asked the crowd, can y'all sing? And then I'll just hopefully remember the song. So that was the most nervous I've been. But I'm known to forget words, but that was an extreme example of me forgetting the words.
Yeah.
All right.
Stage fright in public, in terms of public speaking, is real. I have two that stand out to me. One was forgetting. I used to do a lot of poetry and monologues when I was younger. Once it was a 20th night, and I was performing after a Festival of Arts. You know, they choose some to perform. And I totally forgot. I was doing Casey at the Bat, and I am dressed the part. Totally forgot the words. And thankfully, like all good parents, my mom was right in front of the stage and started mouthing the words to me. So I was able to catch up. But one that really stands out, it's like a total movie moment. I was probably like 7. I used to spend all my holidays on Key Cocker because I have family out there. And they had a little variety show, and I loved Michael Jackson's Heal the World. And I used to sing it all the time. So I told my cousins who were organizing the variety show, I want to sing the song. And I was not a performer, but I wanted to sing the song on stage. So I got on stage, started singing the words, singing the song, saw the crowd, completely forgot the words. But the worst part was, I have the mic in my hand, I'm quiet, the background music is just going. I just put my head down, I didn't know what to do, and I went, uh-oh, right into the mic. So everybody started laughing, and I ran off the stage crying. It was horrible.
Oh, man.
But they brought me back later when the choir did it to join them in singing it. It was hilarious. But we all get scared. We get frightened, you know.
We do. One of the things that I've learned, because I'm actually nervous right now. But,
Really? You
yes,
are?
But one of the things that I've
Let's see
learned.
if you have the handshake.
He's lying. He's lying.
One of the things that I've learned is that, and I was watching, I don't remember the movie, but there was this young man who went on stage, and he was trying to sing, and his dad told him, don't be nervous, or even if you are, let your nervousness work for you. And so that's how I am right now. It's like being in my element at the same time, but nervous. So I'm making the element more. That's the way it is. That's the way it is.
Dish William.
I subscribe to that totally. I would still get nervous doing television, and I'm going to stick to just television.
Oh, you don't want to tell us a stage one, please?
No.
Oh.
That would happen more with dance, and you just for a minute just freeze there and can't remember what happened.
Like you mean you can't go down in your splits or something?
Yeah, that has happened too. But I think one of the moments that I will always remember in terms of television is presenting the news. That's why I don't like to present the news. And there was a Muslim person who had done something, and the news editor at the time, Patrick Jones, decided to, sometimes
List
they
all
have
the names.
5 names.
Yes.
So it's Kashif, Fayez, Mohammed, and halfway through, I just got like, why? To myself, like, why? Why did you write all these names? It's ridiculous. And I just, whatever. And I continued reading. Like, I was so angry. And after that, I never presented.
And then he
the
never
news.
read news again.
Yeah, it was like, I can't read.
Because you don't say whatever about somebody's name.
Yeah. But it was just one of those things where, I couldn't rationalize why you would put 5 names for someone, especially when,
Rick,
it
why don't
just
we
goes
have
on.
that clip?
And I just said, you know what? I don't want to read the news ever again. And I've held that promise to myself.
Yeah, I've heard that story. It's hilarious. But I like what you said about nerves, though. I remember, and I always tell people that you still get nervous when you come on TV. It doesn't matter how long you do it.
Yeah.
And especially if it's an important interview or an important day, you get nervous.
Hey, look, you will, and it happens every time, but because you're so used to the situation, you just come on and deal with it. At the same time, though, you're right there with your nervousness. That's how I see it. But you're just used to the situation.
And I think the nervousness varies, and it depends on the person, because I'm not nervous because of the cameras. I'm nervous because I am weird. And I am so afraid of what comes out of my mouth sometimes that I'm worried that I might scare people. So that's where my nervousness
You haven't
comes.
scared us yet, Jamie. Don't worry.
It's all good.
Yes.
It's all good. It's all good.
All right,
So,
William.
All right, let
dig
me
in.
dig in and choose
Okay.
a question.
all right.
It's, what do you do when you run out of questions to ask the guest? Pray. Pray that something comes to mind. Pray that commercial is ready. Pray that, that something happens.
That
and
inspiration hits.
that light bulb goes on.
For me, when I'm out of questions, what I do is try to get back to something I've asked before, especially if you're doing a launch, or
Yeah.
if there's a specific day that we're celebrating and we need for folks to know exactly when, where, how much. So we go back to that, and you might just find something else in the mind to ask thereafter. But that's how I deal with it.
Yeah. Well, for me, I think this is the beauty of co-hosting. Like we take turns, one, and it becomes a very important relationship. We've all talked about that. Like there's a certain level of trust, and there's a certain level of comfort that's important. And I think having somebody else continue the conversation that's already started gives you time to formulate what is necessary to come next, and actually listen at times, because when you're so focused on formulating questions, you can't listen as intensely as you'd like to.
And I think that's one of the biggest challenges, really, when you're interviewing. I think people don't take into consideration that a lot of what we do in Belize is totally unscripted.
Yeah.
When you see a presenter or an interviewer on some network elsewhere in the world, everything has been
is
scripted.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you don't have to dig deep into your mind's eye to find something.
And they have a producer
Yep.
who does pre-interviews. They have researchers who research what the guests are saying.
Yeah.
at
And they
the
have an
time.
earpiece where
Yeah.
they can be fed
Exactly.
information.
Yes.
And they have cue cards,
Yeah.
like quotes and news articles that they can insert exactly at the right moment. I'm like, how do they do that? Especially on The View.
Yeah.
They do that. They do that a lot.
Or if you watch Oprah, when she does interviews, she says, so my producer told me that you have a very interesting story about such, because there was a pre-interview that took place before. So, and we're going to get an opportunity to tell you all about that, because we really have to big up everybody who works behind the scenes here. It's a very small crew. It's big in terms of what most people are expect, because they see two people on camera.
Yeah.
But it's small for what we're able to pull off at this hour in the morning. So, we're definitely going to get a chance to showcase that as well. Do we do one more question,
Yes,
or
one more.
do we? Okay, let me do one more.
I'd say one more.
Okay, Jamie, you do it.
All right, so here you go.
Oh, this is a good one already.
Yes.
What made you become interested in being a host? William, you want to start?
Yeah, you're the longest one on here. So by all
No,
means.
I can answer for Jamie. I badgered her. Actually, I don't think, well, for me, I didn't have an interest in television. Most people won't believe that I still am very introverted. But television happened to me, kind of thing. But I learned an important lesson from day one, that you could tell stories, and I love telling stories. And in telling the story, you can reach people in a different way, because the challenge really is to get people's attention and to keep it.
Yeah.
And whenever you're engaged, the thing with television is it tells if you're not authentic. And that's the biggest challenge, that the minute you start losing that joie de vivre, where you feel as if though I'm doing this because I have a passion for it and everything else, you have to step away from it, because it will show very clearly
100%,
that
yeah.
you're engaged
Yes.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so I think hosting for television gives you a chance to be honest repeatedly. If not, people will point it out for you.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, for me, if opportunity knocks, I open the door. That's me. If they ask me to go to Thailand to teach French, I don't know how to teach French, but I will go. So that's the main reason why I decided to. Yeah, that's my personality. I love and if I'm not good at it, if I fail, okay, well I know that I'm not good.
Yeah, you tried it.
I tried. So that's it.
You know, I'm right up the road with her in terms of opportunity. I had no interest in terms of hosting. I didn't have an interest, and back in the day when it happened, it was because John, you know, it just happened. And I tend to embrace the situation. I embraced it. And when I did, I guess it became just naturally who I am today. Yeah. And then it took off.
Yeah.
That's it for me, for real.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, the entire panel here. And we didn't aspire to work on television. I pretty much have a similar story as Williams. I know Williams' story with testing out on camera, and Stuart Crone, who was the managing director at the time at Channel 5, spot him, and it was the same thing. I was at Channel 5 for a meeting. I was working at a totally different organization. Okay. I worked with communications, but for children's rights. And we sat around the table, and he joked, Stuart Crone that is, would you ever be an anchor? And I laughed it off completely, because I'll tell you the truth, and I can't believe I'm saying this on TV, right? I had people at my office who used to call me Mother Teresa, because I was all about like the long skirts and Jesus sandals and like, you know, barely fix your hair kind of look. And he called. We laughed it off, and then I went back to the office, and he called back. He said, I was serious. You know, would you consider it? And I thought about it, talked it over at family. And then I said the same thing, you know, and I keep on saying this to people. Just if something comes up, ask yourself, why not? What's the worst that can happen? And once you like really play out the different scenarios in your head, it's not as bad as you think. And you jump in, and it just might be something great. When it comes to hosting, I love the opportunity. I feel like, and I tell people all the time, I learn along with the viewers.
Of course.
Like, people come here with the most phenomenal stories, and the questions you ask, majority of the time, are out of genuine interest. Like, they're doing amazing things in Toledo, or they have very interesting aspects in terms of our law and how our country is governed. And it's a learning process together. And I see myself as just a facilitator. And if you can forget about all the TV part, and people are watching from their homes, it's fun.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it's interesting that in all of us, it was somebody else recognizing our capabilities, our potential. And I think that's amazing when you have people around you that see the greatness in you. That's really inspiring, and it gives you hope in people.
I guess it's our challenge too, because we have to continue that now and be able to spot talent and be able to point it out. You know, I get people telling me all the time, you know, I hope you're working with somebody younger to be able to help them become more comfortable on camera and enter the career. And I think it's different now, because there are a lot more young people who are aspiring to work on television, like in Belize. So it's interesting to see that change.
But I think also, well, given the fact that I've been on television for about 25 years. There was no one there before. So you didn't have people to aspire to.
Yes.
Or you didn't have that as something that you even considered. And I think so much has shifted in terms of opportunities that exist for people, that they can actually plan for it and think about it. And that makes a huge difference. But I think it also creates greater pressure. Being a pioneer in a particular area in Belize, because you do have a lot of opportunities to do pioneering work.
That's right.
Nobody has done it before, so it's easier for you because there's no one to compare you to. You can chart your course, you can do so many other things. It's the people who come later, they have to pay, or they should pay homage to, because you respect people like Seferino Coleman. He was for radio that could be larger than life in whatever area he chose to really put it. And it's
he was a very important media personality.
You look at people like that, and you recognize that we've always had these larger than life characters who worked on radio or just did stage. Bev, you know, you think about those people, and you think about how people are just captured by what they do. And you just have a different medium. It's television.
Yeah.
And so you have to do the same thing. You have to be authentic. You have to be culturally aware. You know, there's so many things that comes with growing up in a place like Belize, where you have the opportunity to do something. It's easy to imitate what you see on American television or some other place, but to do something that is authentically Belize is the real challenge.
And I think we have the landscape for it. There are so many things, like you said earlier, that can be pioneered in Belize. I think we just need to develop that hunger in our country for more, and not just more that we see in the United States, but more that can truly benefit our country.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to save my question because we got to go ahead and take our first break. And so when we come back, we're actually going to be looking at some of the major stories we covered. It's our 8th anniversary, and we're looking back and seeing some of the things that we've covered that have really impacted the nation. So that's going to be the next segment that's coming up. We hope you stay tuned. It is a celebration. There is cake to come. There is some fun stuff to come, but you got to stay tuned. So we'll be back soon.